In 1859, when Charles Darwin's influential book On the Origin of Species by Natural Selection was published, it took the world by storm. Suddenly, the theory about the creation of life, which till then was only understood in religious terms, found a new explanation. According to Darwinian theory, natural selection is the most vital concept in evolution. For example, Darwin's studies showed that finches in the Galapagos Islands had survived by adapting to different habitats. This adaptation was evident from the altered beaks of different species of finches on the same island. He believed that the process of natural selection allows organisms to inherit traits from previous generations. These traits help them adapt themselves to their current environment and increase their chances of survival as they reproduce more successfully than others. Evolution using natural selection probably began on Earth with the origin of various cellular life forms with different metabolic capabilities. Darwin believed that the rate at which new life forms appeared was linked with their lifespan. For example, consider that a colony of bacteria called bee is growing in a certain environment. In case the environment of this bacterial colony is changed, there will be some bacteria, say B1, who will be able to adapt and survive under the new conditions. In a matter of a few hours, this variant population will breed further, pass on their new traits, and establish themselves as a completely new species. On the other hand, in animals or birds, the same evolution will take place in millions of years, as their lifespan is comparatively longer. While elaborating on the theory of natural selection, Darwin stressed fitness. Nature favors the survival of the fittest. In other words, individuals who are fitter than others have a greater potential for survival. For example, in the case of the bacteria, the variant bacterial population B1 had greater fitness to adapt itself to the new environment than the original bacterial colony. This ability to adapt itself lies in the genes of an organism and is inherited. Darwin also put forth the concept of branching descent, which explained that various species have evolved from common ancestors by adapting themselves differently. However, this rate of change may have varied across species. In this way, Darwin refuted the old theory of evolution by the use and disuse of organs propounded by French naturalist Jean-Baptiste Lamarck. Lamarck had conjectured that giraffes had adapted themselves and elongated their necks while trying to eat the leaves of tall trees. Over millions of years, giraffes had made optimum use of their necks and passed on the character of a long neck to future generations. Consequently, giraffes developed long necks over millions of years. However, Lamarck's theory about the use and disuse of organs is not accepted anymore. Evolution has always generated a lot of debate. In fact, no one has been able to say with certainty whether evolution is a process or an outcome of a process like natural selection. Around the time when Darwin proposed the theory of evolution, a British scholar and economist, Thomas Malthus, propounded his influential theories about population and the factors that lead to its increase and decrease. Malthus's thoughts impacted Darwin, and he concluded that natural selection in population was also based on certain facts. For example, natural resources are limited. The size of populations is generally stable except for seasonal fluctuations such as natural disasters, and that there is variation in the characteristics of members of the same population even if they look similar. These variations are inherited. Darwin observed that exponential growth of population due to maximum reproduction or overproduction is possible in animals such as microbes. However, the population growth of organisms is limited because they compete with each other for natural resources. For example, a rise in the fish population of a river will lead to subsequent competition among them for resources. Therefore, organisms who adapt themselves and compete fiercely will survive, while the weaker ones will perish. Supporting his natural selection theory, Darwin pointed out that it was the inherited variations in organisms that helped them adapt to natural resources to the maximum and survive. These organisms, who adapted themselves better to their environment, reproduced more. After millions of years, their progeny brought about a change in population characteristic, and that's how new forms of life came into existence. Scholars have often wondered how the Darwinian concept of variation through inheritance actually occurred. Although Gregor Johann Mendel, the founder of genetics, pointed out that inheritable factors influenced genotypes, Darwin chose to remain silent on this subject. At the beginning of the 20th century, Hugo de Vries, a Dutch botanist and geneticist, based his study on the evening primrose and founded the idea of mutation. De Vries believed that it was sudden mutations in populations that brought about evolution. This idea went against the Darwinian concept of minor variations that occur slowly over many years and lead to evolution. In fact, De Vries argued that mutations were random and directionless. Mutation caused speciation, and therefore it was called saltation or a single-step large mutation. In the years that followed, the study of genetics became more specialized and provided several new insights into evolution.